With the holiday season over, Black Knight teams are back in action in full swing. We'll get things started with the Army West Point men's and women's swimming and diving team, who, believe it or not, already conclude their home season this weekend as they have two dual meets against Lehigh and Bucknell. It'll be Lehigh on Friday night and Bucknell on Saturday afternoon, as the Black Knights will honor 17 seniors on Senior Day on Saturday against Bucknell, as the Black Knights look for two more wins on both the men's and the women's side.
It's about execution. It's about understanding the things that they need to do in all their different events to perform to their potential. It's about team, and especially on Saturday with Senior Day, we're going to honor these 17 firsties and really make sure we send them out in style. This is their last chance to race in Crandall Pool, and like we talk about, we're going to honor them, this program, the legacy that they've left behind, which is very strong, and the ghost in the rafters at Crandall Pool. It's going to be fun.
The Army West Point hockey team gets the second half of their conference slate underway on Friday night when they host the Pioneers of Sacred Heart in the first of two games against Sacred Heart this weekend. The second one will be up in Milford, Connecticut, as Sacred Heart hosts on Saturday night. The Black Knights already have seen Sacred Heart earlier this season and took 4 points as they swept the weekend series for them for their first weekend series sweep in Atlantic hockey since 2011, as the Black Knights will look to do that again and continue to move up the conference standings, as it's very tight in Atlantic hockey as we hit the second half of the conference season.
Obviously, they're a very good team. I mean, both those games were very close, could have gone either way. Really, it's like every weekend, just trying to live in the moment, and for us, really kind of focusing on what we need to do to be a good hockey team on Friday night to put ourselves in a position to win a game. But having played them recently, it certainly does give you an idea of who they have over there, but really, you know what? I knew before we played them that they have a real strong team, and they just reinforced that when we saw them here about a month ago.
The Army West Point women's basketball team returns to Crystal Arena on Saturday, where they'll look to continue their hot start to the season, as off to one of the best starts in program history. The Black Knights take on the Loyola Greyhounds, a team they defeated twice last year, and will look to continue on the strong play from firsties such as Kelsey Minato, Amy Ortner, and Jean Parker.
Well, number one, I just, I have so much respect for their program, for their coach. Joe Logan has done a great job. And I tell people this, we've played Loyola for quite a long time as a non-conference opponent. And during that stretch, they pretty much had our number. We really struggled. I think we were 1-3 against them. And then once we got into the Patriots, they had some problems with injuries. And, we have beaten them the last 2 years. But every game, I think 3 of those 4 games have gone into overtime, and the other one was decided on the last possession. So tremendous amount of respect for their players and for their program, and they just match up well with us, as does Colgate. I think there's teams in this league that you really they just seem to have that matchup advantage, and you have to figure out as a staff, how we're going to counter that.
The Army West Point wrestling team's home for the first time this year as they take on the Bearcats of Binghamton at Crystal Arena on Sunday afternoon. Army's coming off a strong performance at the Southern Scuffle over the holiday weekends, as they'll look to build on that and look for another dual meet victory in the 2015-2016 season.
We've seen them quite a bit. They're in our conference, another EIWA team, and we've seen them at 2 different competitions this year. They're a tough team. We know that. They're going to be very well coached, disciplined. They're going to wrestle really hard. So we know that if we're going to come out on top at the end of these matches, we got to be willing to compete the whole time. I think that we're going to see some rematches, maybe at 125, 141, and 157 pounds, maybe 184. So we're going to have several rematches, right? And there's going to be some pretty tough bouts. It's going to be whoever can wrestle harder for longer and find a way to score points.
The Army West Point gymnastics team will open up their 2016 campaign on the road at national powerhouse Penn State. They return home next weekend to host the annual West Point Open. And the Army West Point men's basketball team will look to pick up a win after dropping their last 2 when they take on the Loyola Greyhounds. That's going to do it for your weekend preview. For Night Vision, I'm Zach Daly.